Awesome. Great. Okay, recording is going. Welcome. It is September 8th, Monday, September 8th. And we had a very interesting weekly open to start on USDT.D. Looking at it from the start, we have actually started drifting, and I'll clean up these lines a little bit. We started drifting to taking to the low, right at 4.37. In fact, looks like we barely wicked it on this weekly from the weekly open. Even though we started above 4.45, which was actually this massive weekly order block, right? This is the balance of the massively weekly order block. We started above that, right? It turned red. It turned red after the open. And conceptually speaking, we did what I'm finding weird about this range is that we tapped the bearish level already at 6.2. And we had the reaction. We had a pump, right? We had this pump back in early August. And then all we did past few weeks is retrace the same level we were at before the pump and reject it again. Now, what does this tell me? I really think, for lack of better words, some real shenanigans are going on right now because this is not convincing yet, because all we're doing now is we're saying that the draw still is somewhere higher, right? So depending on what coin you have, different coins have different ranges, and I'll get to an example. I'll get to actually multiple examples of what I mean by this. Every single coin, most of them, where people are longing on the high time frame based on the daily and the weekly charts, actually have weekly gaps below the current lows, even though they have a range low, right? So with that said, I'm going to go into kind of a very general bias here. General bias is now on this weekly, we take the high at 4.3, or sorry, the low, right? The low at 4.34. But the real draw on the weekly is going to still be the 4.7, the 4.6, the 4.7 before we continue. And the reason why I say this is as soon as we take this draw, this ERL, we have one more IRL on the daily from here. Considering we just wicked this, if we happen to close anywhere above 4.4 in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be bearish again, guys. It's going to be bearish. So everyone who's longing now, be worried if you're still long by the end of the week. Because this pump is, it's not going to last long in my mind. I was expecting us to actually see right when we were back here in this weekly, right? We closed above right here. I expected this to take this high because it was so friggin' close and then take the 4.6 sooner, right? But we never did. We opened and then we were now taking the low first. So you got to just play what the market gives you. In this case, the market's given me a sign that we are going to pump a little bit more. But then it depends on whether or not we can make the closures above 4.4 to determine if this is legitimately the quote-unquote alt season, all-time low, yada, yada, whatever you want to call it. I'm not convinced, period. End of sentence. I'm not convinced this is the alt season start. I think we have to do some major move up to 4.6 in order to actually start the real move back down to 3.4, right? So this is the range on the weekly that I'm still seeing, and we have a solid uptrend structure here. All we're doing is we're curving it, right? We're basically, instead of going like a steady, like if we were to draw a line here, right? Trend line, people who are looking at this in a trend line perspective, they're going to be faked out, right? Everyone who's long now is going to be faked out based on the weekly, when in reality, there's dailies open right here that was completely untapped. As you can see, right in the orange spot. So I'll get to what I'm saying. An example, I'll show you an example, right? I'll start with sushi. I was looking at sushi last night, and the sign here is there's two things. I'll do sushi and I'll do Myro, and then if you guys want me to check out any of the coins, you can post them in chat and we'll go from there. The signs here is that yes, this range, like if you were to measure the entire range here, right? What I find funny, this is actually not funny, but also scary. If you measure the monthly range, right? You look at the monthly low. This is a monthly higher low by a fraction of a cent. If you measure that range to the monthly high, then what do you see? For me, I see that we moved up to this range high, right? From this range low. And guess what, guys? Price never hit this long bias right here, right? Under 70 cents. But guess what? You look at this chart and you say, oh, wait, look at that. That's a strong low, right? No, it's not. It's not, because the weekly did not touch the long bias zone. This is not the bottom, guys. Period. End of sentence, right? So really what I'm seeing here is we need to have another higher low made, a very, very strong, aggressive wick to take the liquidity of this low at 70 cents and wick into the balance of the previous range and the long OTE range, like the long bias range for that, right? So I'm going to just stay put with my short. I'm very red on my PTB short. I am not closed it, as I mentioned in my channel. I've been closing some of my longs. If you're in longs, I would be careful. I would actually be as crazy as looking for shorts this week. A lot of coins have been pumping a lot, and people think this is the alt season bottom. But if you look at charts like this and you map out the entire monthly range, you'll notice that most of them have never actually tapped their long bias on the high time frame, right? I'll do another one right now. Here's Myro. Same thing. I do Myro. I love friggin' Myro so much. And I'll delete some of these as well. And the one thing with Myro here, though, is that we cleared this range, right? We did actually tap, and we're in the 6.2. You notice that we just tapped the 6.2. This is the one I circled in teal right here. However, we've never tapped the 705 or the 7.9, right? And what does that tell me? Well, the fact that we're pumping first from this weekly open is bearish. It's bearish, guys, period. There's no other way to put it, right? We go up a little bit more here. If this market structure does not break at 0.25, this is going to be a major liquidation event coming in the next 2-3 weeks. And I'm talking like a red candle that would just basically go straight down, liquidate every single long that you could possibly think of, right? And this is going to happen across the market, right? This is my own example. Shusi is another one. So I'm going to hold my short red for now. I'm not going to chase any longs because this weekly open did the exact opposite of what I expected it to do. And purely because of that, I'm going to counter trade myself, right? If the market is doing the opposite of what you expected it to do based on what you wanted, right? Based on your bias, then all you need to do, it's easy, guys. Flip your bias, right? Flip it. If you thought you were long from market, which I was actually bullish from market weekly open, but it pushed the high first. I expected to take the low first. So because it did the opposite of what I expected, I now need to flip my bias to the opposite of what I expected. It's really that simple. So that's kind of my 2 cents from where we're at now. But yes, please, and I'll do Bitcoin and Ethereum, but please post your coins if you guys want me to check out any coins, and then we can go from there. I'll do Bitcoin first, and then we can do Ethereum, and yeah. So for Bitcoin's a little bit more interesting because we did actually clear the 107. Now with its range though, we could see it pushing up one more time, right? Because we never actually retraced the 120. But what's crazy about this one though is that I wouldn't even long it here, to be honest, because if you're really gonna measure the entirety of the range, if we can't break market structure above like 113 in the near future, then what'll end up happening is in this week, if we just do this, right, and consolidate, it's gonna do the opposite of what I think based on the weekly closure, and then wick down first and then go up, right? But again, I don't want. We're basically, if you notice in the monthly and the weekly here, this is the smack dab in the neutral zone, right? So in terms of a long bias or short bias, I wouldn't take either. I would wait until we get back above 115 to take a short. Otherwise, I would take a long below 107. So yeah, that's where I'm at with Bitcoin. I think I'm slightly more bullish right now on Bitcoin based on what we're doing here. But again, I'm gonna just play it safe by ear, right? So let's do Ethereum as well. Cool. So same thing here. If we do take this, let's see, where did I write this actually? Lido, Ada. Okay, great. Good, getting some requests here. It's interesting because a lot of this structure here is actually, I don't know if this is as accurate as I would have liked, because this is an AMD right now. So if I were to measure from here, yeah, really, this is not as accurate anymore. I would say this is more like closer to here. Um, so yes. Okay, cool. So for this, yes. Okay, great. Good. Some good requests already. So for this, I would say, slightly bullish, but again, I do not like this structure one bit. I do not like where we are. The fact that the high time frame here, we took the highs already. The weekly close below. If this week we cannot close above 4,800, 4,900, then Ethereum is going to be going down to 27. So on the weekly here, I would say this is not a good spot to long Ethereum either. So I would just wait on that one as well until we can break and consolidate above 46 and then hold. But again, I'm also trying to be a little careful with where USDT.D is. Cool. Let's go through some of your requests. Let's do XRP. Yeah, so I think I'm still saying a whole lot of nothing here. Basically, if we push this high on XRP, I would expect it to basically wick into one of these ranges, possibly not all the way up to 318, 315, 338, 366. But really, what I want to see is basically more consolidation here. This is not even like, honestly, we did close back in range here, so this is a little bearish still. I'll be honest, this is actually quite bearish. If we cannot break this market structure here, then yellow is not. Both of these are going to be obsolete. I'm going to delete actually based on the weekly open. So let's see, weekly. Even if we draw, yeah, literally, it's not even in long bias zone from the range it's in. So I would be still thinking that even if we go like this, we would do like something like that still. Possibly up to 3.2, possibly up to 3.2, maybe a little higher, and then the aggressive wick down I'm talking about, possibly all the way down to 2.2, if not lower. But one of those things with XRP is that the more we close in the previous ranges, right? I'll mark these in orange. The higher the probability is for actually taking the low at 1.5, right? So the same thing here. We do this wick down, reconsolidate. We possibly push up again, but I really don't think XRP is going to do a whole lot of much here, considering where it is on the weekly. We've entered previous ranges already, and we made closures underneath. You see on the orange, basically between 2-3 ranges here. So even if we push up, I would be short. I would be still short bias from this range, even to the very minimum of 2.2, if not all the way lower for this. So, but the weird thing about XRP is because its range is so wide, you can't really anchor your stop on it, you know, very easily if you're trying to do a wide structured stop swing or something. So let's do Solana. Solana is actually one that I've been waiting for months to get to these levels. I drew this back in June, guys. If you recall, I post every time someone asks me about Solana, I pull up the same chart. This is exactly what happened. If we push this high at 220, I would be bearish as well, right? Bearish as well. But again, this is a manipulation push, right? This is a quarterly candle. Like if you look at this quarterly candle here, I'll zoom in. I'll clean up my chart a little bit. Right? This quarterly candle is basically looking to seek the 50% of the previous quarterlies or the previous quarterly highs, right? So really what I'm seeing here is that we are effectively about to get to a level where Solana will be topping out in the high time frame, and it will then be seeking the quarterly low back under $80, right? So something like this is what I see Solana doing, assuming this range holds and it is unable to close the quarterly candle in the next 22, if it pushes this month, the next 22 days, and it's unable to close above 240 or 250, then I would be inclined to look for shorts. So I'm actually watching this one carefully as well. I want to take this short coming in the near future, but not quite there yet, right? We have a little bit of time left, probably a couple weeks of consolidation. If we push up a little bit more in the next like 2 weeks, then that would be perfect for the short. Excellent. Let's keep going. LDO. So LDO I did draw up from before. So LDO I have on this range as a seek and destroy from 1.13. So our balance is yellow, red. Basically daily closures underneath yellow and red are bearish. Daily closures above yellow and red are bullish, right? So if this weekly is to take this high right here, and I'll put it in blue, or I'll put it in green, right? If we were to take that high first, then we'd actually be shifting to IRL back down to 82 cents. So it's another bias here where I'm seeing we are effectively going to go for some sort of push by which will be a push to the short bias side. So that is kind of where I'm at there. And yes, cool. Any other questions? Oh yeah, so let's see, ADA. I'll go through the rest of your list here. Okay. Okay, so yeah, same thing here. ADA, I had this drawn up actually when you guys asked me from before. Taking 8.7, 8.9 to 9.3, so a little tiny bit more here. Very tiny bit more. And then we have the dump, the incoming dump, right? Which is yet to happen, right? We want to see maybe just a little bit of push up, and then it's going to go back down to under 70. So that will be that one. Because what's interesting with ADA is if you look at this daily range, right? This daily range from the high and the low, we tapped almost all of them, like 2 out of the 3, and then even made a lower high on ADA, right? So from here, I would say we want to take the internal range next under 70 cents before I'm bullish again. So same thing here. This is actually not too bad of a short because you could anchor your stop from this previous high as a market structure break, right? Assuming we don't make the market structure break bullish, and then take the short down to like at least 70 cents, right? So that's not too bad. That's a 5.8 RR short. Okay, and then LDO, same. Oh wait, no, I just did LDO. Oh yeah, I just did LDO. A0. Okay, yes, just closed A0 in pretty good profits here. Um, I think I closed it right up here at the 3 roughly earlier this morning. Um, I took this level right here as a compound order, right? It's sort of playing out on the weekly as well. Let's see, the weekly I think already created a gap if I last checked. Yes. Great. So this weekly already created a gap right here, back at the level that I expected it to tap from the first entry. The second entry didn't tap. But the first entry did. We got the compound order. I closed it in profits. Thankfully, that helped. But we basically invalidated the entire daily bearish inversion right here. So now the question is, from here, this weekly close, if we can't close above anywhere between these two levels, these two teal levels this week, if we can't close above those, guess what's going to happen? It's going to go back down too, right? 22, same thing, right? It's good to hold if you're in it. If you can manage holding it, go for it. I closed it because I needed the margin ratio. But the same thing here is I would expect this low down here to be taken again. I think there's like 2 or 3 open gaps here that might be on the lower time frames. Maybe I'm missing. No, maybe not. It did dip into 1. But I would say there's another one here where, let's see, let me just mark this out actually. That's an equal high, yeah. Actually, no, this doesn't need to pull back all the way. Yeah, never mind. I take that back. We already did dip into this level, which doesn't need to pull back all the way. So here, let me redraw this. I'm sorry, I literally just saw the lower time frames. The lower time frames, we don't need to pull back too much here. Yeah, so really, assuming this range holds, right? We want to see this range hold here and then continue from there. Then the weekly would go, right? The weekly would need to stay above. Yeah, so here's the thing, right? If this candle extends above 3 cents and 2 cents, if it closes above that this week, then we can continue. Otherwise, I would wait until we go back down under 0023. And I think there might be, no, maybe I'm just mistaken. I remember seeing a level here. Maybe I'm not remembering where it was. No, okay. I would say short-term long here is decent, right? Decent enough where you want to see these yellow lines being your entries between 0.2659, 0.2578, and you want to see this being held. So if we do sweep it, this range should hold, and then we should basically make closures above 0.28, and that would mean that we are going to be taking the highs after, right? So just playing it by that range alone, I think you guys could make your own levels. I'll try and get back in this with you guys because as I told you, I was in a zero basically since all the way back here, really, really early, really, and I held it, right? This is the importance of patience. When I first called this in May, I was bullish about it. I took the levels, but I took them incorrectly from here at 9, but I sized correctly, right? So I didn't get liquidated from this drop, and I was still convinced on the project and the technicals of the project and the technicals of the chart. We do have weeklies open on the highs above 10. So the moment, and this order block here that was created never tapped the IRL at 5.8 cents. So this was kind of like a very big hint to me, where saying that there is liquidity here that's still yet to be taken. And another reason why I didn't close here and I didn't close back in May. I didn't close in June. I didn't close in July, except I accidentally closed one time, but then I just reopened it, right? Because I still had convincing, and I honestly still to this day, I have incredibly high conviction that we will then eventually see above 12 cents and by proxy with a weekly closure above 17 to 28 cents, right? So A0, another very, very good pick of mine. I want to keep this. I'll try and get back in this with you guys, assuming my margin ratio supports it, and then we can go from there. So yeah, this is take these two levels. I think what I'll do is I'm gonna try and get in with you guys, get in with these guys later as well. Maybe make some levels to confirm the closure, right? Because what we want to see here is on this 8 hour and the 4 hour, we want to see the dip into this range and then the 4 hour closure back above 0.27, right? Cool. So enough about that one. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Adam, another request. Adam, actually, very bullish here. Yeah, very bullish here. If we mark this range alone, from here, that was supported, and then from here, that was supported. So this is one that might be good because it's one of those, we do have, and yeah, actually right here, we have one more level on the 8 hour that's open right there. So one thing to note here is if we do see this sweep, right, I would expect something like this to happen, right? So and I'll draw this out a little bit more clearly. Here, let me make these lines better. So same thing, we do quick sweep to the high and then sweep to the low. I want to see volatility, right? Volatility on the push, and then the break back above. Break back above will bring us roughly to 6. This is actually quite good. But I do want to see this low taken. I want to see 4.263 taken. And I want to see a higher low, right? But it needs to be a wick. Like this is not. This is sort of a wick. But what's weird about this is that it never tapped this 8 hour. Never tapped this 8 hour right here. That the internal range liquidity right here. So I would want to see that swept, and then the closure right back above, right? So very close. I would say very, very close to seeing a big move on Atom as well, because once we get back and close this range, this is going to go to like roughly 6 to 7, roughly. But we can't do that, right? We can't make a big move like this without some liquidation event, right? We need to have a very strong liquidation event that is the catalyst by which a big move up will happen. And where USDT is, I still think that we have that catalyst sometime this week or next week. So yeah, this will be a good one as well. Okay, let's see. Casper. Awesome. Casper is one of those coins that it already closed back in range. It already is closing right here back in range. So I had to just shift my curve slightly down. It used to be up here, but like basically it's the same thing. We took this low, and now if the actual wick up here will probably be a little less wild, or sorry, the wick down, I mean, sorry, right? Because if we can close this weekly where we are now, then even if we do take this low, it's immediately going to retrace to the high again. So I would almost say it's going to basically just be continuously chopping, right? On the lower time frames, you can see the wicks on this, right? It's just all it's doing is it's just chopping, right? It's slowly chopping higher and higher and higher. And I would say this range is tight enough where, considering we get closures and continue to get closures here, then we will go from there. And that would basically be what I would wait for, right, on Casper. And I will still keep waiting for it. I'm holding this one still. I want to try not touching it because this is one that I've held for a while with conviction, and will continue to try and hold with conviction. XCH and move, yes. So XCH, one thing with XCH here is I did have limits open at this weekly low. That's the thing with this, is that this range took the high and now we closed back below the previous high in this range in yellow. You see where the yellow order block is on that week. We never took the low yet. So I would say I want to be prepared for the consolidation here and assume that this low is going to be taken. If we assume this low is going to be taken, then what we have is an AMD with a range low tap that was back from June, right? If we hold this range, great. I want to see the wick in here and then holding the range so we can have enough liquidity to push ourselves back up to 11.6. Otherwise, I'm not going to do much with this until we start making closures above orange, right? If we do this, and you notice how we basically rejected, right? We basically took the high at 11.20 and then rejected right back into range. So if we can get back above it and then make closures, then I will look to maybe chase along. But for now, I am not going to touch it because I also don't want to be I don't want to mess up my margin ratio too much a little bit. So move took this. Move is very weird too because it's bullish here, but it's not like it would need to go up here and break this entire structure before we see a return, right? And then a retrace. Because where it is now, it did take this flat OB on the daily, which was clean. And if we can't take this low, which it's looking like it might not, then we take the high first. If we take the high first, then I'd be looking for the retest at 12.6. That would probably be the best range. This is one of those coins that, again, we need to have the weekly closure above this order block right here at 12 cents. We need to hold 12 cents this week. If we close above 12 cents this week, then it would be bullish. Otherwise, at this point, I've jumped in and out of move too many times I can count, trying to catch this bottom. I'm going to just wait. Even if it breaks out without me, no FOMO, guys. Don't worry about it. Market will always give us entries, right? Because even if it does this, it still has to return back to 13 cents before we can break to the new range, right? So gonna just wait on this one, but I am leaning bullish. I'm leaning bullish on this if we hold this range, possibly to 16 cents. Okay, Sui. Yeah, Sui was really weird. Literally did the nothing that I expected it to do at all. It took bearish right here. That was correct. But then it left this daily open right down here. This is so weird, guys. Literally all of these coin structures are just on the high time frame now doing the weirdest stuff. This weekly tapped the bullish bias once, but then left the daily open below. This is right below that low. Like what the what the F? This is so weird. It literally left it open right here. This was the weirdest spot for it to bounce. I literally do not. I mean, it's the balance, right? And it's the OT, but literally, if it went down, like, if it went down, I don't know, 3 cents more. If it went down 3 cents more, guys, I would be bullish on this. But the fact that it didn't go down 3 cents more, I am neutral slash bearish, right? Market makers do not like to leave inefficiencies on the chart, period. End of sentence, all the time, no matter what happens. And if we were to go based on the bearish bias, then what do we see, right? What do we see? Well, I say we see something like this. We see a push up maybe to 3.6, 3.5, 3.6, a little bit, and then an absolute like liquidation wick right after that, right? Liquidate every single long possible, and then take it to the highs, right? But that's really what I have on Siri right now, right? It's not clean. I'll be honest, it's not a clean chart. Most of these charts are just not clean. Where we bounced on altcoins are just not. Some altcoins are just not a good spot on the high time frames. So Sui, I would be looking for shorts probably this week. Still looking for shorts. H bar. I'll go through the rest of your questions here. No problem. So for H bar, the same thing here. We never even got to long. We're like so far away from long bias, it's ridiculous, right? We broke the lows first, and we actually supported the bearish delivery way back in August, early mid-August. So really, what I want to see here is yeah, D0. I understand it makes it seem scary. I totally agree. I totally understand. I had 3 heart attacks today alone, trying to do shorts and still shorting, right? I think I'm just, again, I'm early, maybe I call it early, call it being hard-headed, but the fact that this weekly open pushed so hard, so fast, so quickly, basically did the opposite of what I expected. And I think I was telling some of you guys who might be here earlier, if you expect something from the market and then the market does the exact opposite, then all you need to do is flip your bias to be the opposite of what you expected, right? And that's it. Then you can do better. And just try and take that with one step at a time. Okay, so yeah, same thing with H bar, right? Nothing. I don't want to long this. I don't want to short this yet. I mean, maybe short it once it gets up to 23 cents. A little bit more here, right? Something like this, right? But this is another one. The range on this one is going to be pretty deep retracement, because we don't even get until long bias until all the way way below 19 cents. So yeah, I would say like we might push up a little bit more to 23.4, and then after that, you want to see the retracement back to below 20 cents. Cool. So hopefully that helps. Let's see what other questions you guys have. I'll see if I can go through the chat here. WLD. Okay, that's another one you guys requested. Oh, wow. Weird. See, I think let me just rephrase this or reopen this again. Oh, yeah, I think I put oh, this is hilarious. I think I put a single limit here. I remember putting a single limit right here and then a few others down here in case of a wick. But we did actually close above, right? So this is a full-on displacement here with a market structure break. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to update my chart slightly. We don't need to take those lows anymore. We do have structure from this range already. This is a clean AMD as well, followed by another 3 clean AMDs here. So the structure on this is very good. However, considering we just had the same thing as like everything else, right? Considering we had a market structure break, I would not chase this. It's basically in a no trade zone, right? We are above a new range here. We have one range high that's yet to be taken from this range in balance with a range low internal liquidity below it. So literally there's liquidity above us and below us on WLD. So literally it is basically just a gamble if you were to take a long or a short here. I wouldn't touch it at all yet. It's not at a good spot for a long or short. But if we did take this high, and possibly market structure broke again to like 1.7, right? Then I would be bearish, right? Otherwise, I would wait for the retest, right? Wait for the retest back below 1.4, and that would be the range you'd want to measure from, right? So somewhere below 1.28, 1.2. The best levels here would be 1. I can do a level or two here. Yeah, so we got flats there. So really just like the 1.0. What's the weekly? There's a flat there. That's definitely going to be taken on the weekly. And then basically all the way down to like 9. So yeah, this would be a clean structure if we basically just took the $1 mark. So I'll clean this up a little bit. Clean those up a little bit. And now that we are back above range, two things to look out for would be this, right? Followed by this, right? And both of those I would say are equally probable, where we take the high or the continue down low first. But it is a waiting game. It is a waiting game now on WLD. I wouldn't long it. I wouldn't short it. I would just wait because it is not a good spot yet. You'd want to see something happen here. Cool. So hopefully that answers. And honestly, guys, look at this. This is actually a very clean. Look at this. Look at that range low right there. We've got two lows that are basically right at that level. That's right under $1. This $1 level is honestly a very, very key level here. And if we keep retesting it, then eventually it's going to become discount, right? So I would say if you want to do limits, your limits would be under $1, right? Basically the teal levels, perfectly acceptable. You could TP a little bit here, right? If you want to compound it, wait it out, and then just set your levels back to 9. Because as I said, right, I would almost expect this liquidation wick to happen in the near future. Might be this week, might be next week. You know, things in crypto, they move very fast, faster than you expect, obviously. So again, just take this as you will. Let's see. I'm going to see what else I can get through. I have a few more minutes here. Let's do AVAX, and then I did SUI already. Token, and then I'll answer a few questions here. Right. So AVAX here is at a key level where actually this is it's flipping to $24. So if we take the high first, it's gonna wick into the high and then reject from it. This is gonna be funny. Finally, if this actually happened, I'd actually be hilarious. But the one thing you could do with this one, and maybe I will do this one, but we have like two range lows here. We have one down here, and then we have one here. This one's really tight. If we can't clear that range low, then I would expect yellow to play out, where we basically do a move up, wick the high, and then reject immediately, right? So something like yellow would be playing out. And I drew this back in August, guys. So, you know, maybe that's confluence, I guess. Here is the long. You could either risk anchor from 23.85 or 22.64. And, you know, just if I wasn't, you know, with you guys right now, I'd probably just market entry right now but this is one of those weird things that, again, when we wick this, it's going to be a wick. It's not It's not going to sustain because we're market structure breaking 2 levels here and then going into an IRL on the 4. And we never took the long bias on this range yet. So I would say you'd have to have a tight stop, either like right here or right here, because if we break both of these lows, it's going all the way down to under $20. So just something to note there as well. This market, I swear, guys, it's like absolute mess. Like the long bias. So look at this. We are still, even now as I talk, right? This daily range was never cleared. Look, here's the daily high and the daily low. We have a daily low and a daily high. Neither of those were cleared yet. What does that mean? That means price is literally just deciding what it wants to do. And the fact that we are consolidating above the range balance leads me to believe this is still bullish. But if it made a move up, it would be a very wicky move where it would wick into it and then basically reject back to the low. Yeah, well, it's Heine, it's not easy peasy lemon squeezy for some things. Other things it is, right? When I take my own setups, it's easy peasy, right? When I don't take my own setups, it becomes harder. And in this case, I didn't even take my own setups. So that's a good one. Token, let's see. Token, oh yeah, this is good. Token's good. I think I had this one marked up since what is it, July? August, yeah. Yeah, token. Actually, this is another one. Maybe I'll just after this, if I have some time, maybe I'll just mark it into this one as well, because one of this range already cleared. Sorry, let me just fix my. Yeah, so this range already cleared. We could anchor our stop right here, really, really tight, and then just go directly to like the 8 hours here. And if we just continuously make higher lows, right, on the 8 hour and the daily, then we're actually going to be going into new ranges basically over time. So token, strangely, is one of those coins that even if we do push up, when we do see this liquidation event that I'm talking about, right, all it's going to do is it's just going to bring us back into range lows in a retest, right, for some of these coins. Whereas others, it's not. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking here. And then I have enough time for one more. I'll do INJ. I'll do INJ. Oops. So let's see. Same thing here, right? I'm going to just measure this full range here. And this never once tapped long bias. None of these wicks ever tapped long bias. So I would be inclined to think that we do make a new higher low as well. So if you call it a trend line or whatever, right? Something like this. We need to wick into 11. So slightly bearish on that as well. Yeah. If we can make a higher low, then I will say that's good. There is one thing to note here is that this is actually a range low, right? Which we've been breaking above. I'll clean that chart up and leave just the blue and the white line, right? Blue and the white line. Those are the only 2 levels that I would say we care about. The break below yellow is our point of interest. Until then, I would say still bearish, right? I wouldn't short here either, but I also wouldn't long here. And then you have TPs on the 8 hour slightly above us, right? Above like 17 to 18. roughly ranging to 19, maybe not 20, maybe 20. You could probably do 22 or 20.2 or something around that level. But INJ, I think this is one of those that I wouldn't want to set limits on either. I wouldn't want to do limits on, I'll be honest, because again, this could be one of those very, 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 very aggressive liquidation wicks, right? I'll put this in where I always forget where that time, here it is. It's one of these, right? This one. Yeah, so basically range high to range low, something like this, right? That is kind of what I'd expect to see on INJ, right? If we can break this range, wick down, close below, and then sweep 10, possibly go even lower than 10, right? It could just go all the way through. That would be the aggressive low that would bring us to a new higher low, right? Some new higher low, which it would then propel off of to bring us into a new range, right? So that is just something to keep in mind. And I think for the most part, I am trying to play either very tight ranges, and I think INJ's range is wide here because as you can see, it's actually like a pretty long span of price from where we are now, right? It's like a 20% drop. But if you have coins that have tighter ranges or are close to zero, like for example, Spec is one of them. I was actually watching Spec the other day. I got into it a few times. This is one of them that if we do wick into this low, literally it can only go so far before it goes to zero, right? Actually, this goes very far to zero. I take that back. But I'm sure there's other coins out there that are better examples than this one. If we can clear it, clear this range, close above 438, and then continue to hold that range, right? So keep it either via alerts based on your levels, or make sure your limits are risk size appropriately. And then, unlike me, which I don't know, you know the deal. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. I will post this on my channel. Oh, and actually, I'll answer your last question, understand. I think you're in the original WLD trade and it's in a good profits. And yes, I would say if not closed along, I would say at least take a good, decent chunk of profits off, right? You want to take something off, and we will wait for the next range retest before we go in again. And that should be basically it, right? Easy peasy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, guys, okay? So yes, have a good rest of your day, and I will post this on my channel. And yeah, my DMs are always open. Catch you all later. Stay green, hopefully. See ya.